Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pure English Practice. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart, joined today by some fabulous teachers I see in the room. Gemma, I want to say hello to you. Greetings. We've got Gemma, one of our level 3 trainers who does our level 1 practicum. So she leads that. Sandra, I think I recognize you. It's been a while. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I think it was
great.
June or July. No, June.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a
yeah, yeah,
while.
it's true.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation. Really
Oh,
nice.
absolutely. So glad to have you here. I want to say hi to Doug. I see you here. Natalia, welcome. Yeah. Circadis, always so good to see you. Okay, Kira. Yeah, I see a couple of new faces and names. That's great because the topic today is all about new, unfamiliar names or names when we first meet somebody. And
Good
so I'm
to see you
excited.
too, Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you. We've got Shirley coming into the room. All right. So go ahead and use the chat if you would. I'll ask an opening question as folks are joining us over in the chat. Uh, if your name doesn't appear automatically with your login, let us know your name and where you're from. And I don't know if people mispronounce your name, like how do they say your name not your ideal way? So little stories over there as we come into the room. Hi, Shirley. Good to see you. We're going to use Shirley's name today. So I gave her a heads up that her name was going to be starring in today's session, as will Gemma's at some point, and probably earlier. Welcome. All right. So over in the chat, I'm hoping you'll let us know where you're calling in from. And this is our bi-monthly meeting. Does bi-monthly mean every 2 months or twice a month? I always forget. I think it means twice a month. And so twice
It's
a month,
twice a month.
yeah, twice a month I have this free class for the world, as we call it. And it's a class where we're able to use color vowel principles as well as the color vowel chart to explore spoken English. And so we have both teachers and learners in the room. And so teachers, as always, I'll ask for you to sit back. I'll tell you when I'd like some thoughts from you. And otherwise, we're paying attention to learners. Learners, please step in. Let us know what your questions are, okay? And we'll be practicing quite a bit today. Let's go ahead and let Carl in the room. All right. And so if I look at that chat, let me grab that for a second. Yeah. Oh, great. Fiona, lovely to have you here, that you're from Sri Lanka. And so your first name, it's your first time here. Wonderful. All right. Well, let me get started. Today's session is on the theme of names. And names have been central to the work that we do for quite some time, because what we do with names, is we look at them as words, just like all words are words, so are names. And the question I have for you today is, why is your name possibly hard for others to say? Or how is it hard to say? So let me just open up the room with that question. My name is Karen Taylor. My parents chose that name in the United States specifically, they told me, because it's not hard to pronounce. So they actually chose a name for me that would be easy. That was on their list of requirements. Now, is it easy for everybody? We'll see. Yeah. What other names do we have in the room? And where do you find it pronounced, say, not in the way that you want? And I'm going to ask Shirley to start so that you can kind of get an idea of the stories we have. Hi, Shirley.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, your name is Shirley. What happens to your name when you go outside the United States?
Well, the first time I experienced problems with my name was when I was living in French-speaking West Africa. And if you know anything about French, the sound with an L after it is particularly challenging. So when I would say to people, je m'appelle Shirley, they'd go very difficult to pronounce. So what I finally, am I supposed to tell the rest of the story, Karen?
Well, why don't we hold on to it? I
Okay.
think you know where I'm going with this. So Shirley's name was hard for people to say when they were coming from French. And we can use the chart to identify what it is in English, right? So if you're new, as I know we have newcomers today, we use the chart to kind of anchor our conversation in a common language. And Shirley's name in this case is Purple Shirt Shirley. And just by doing that, we can already hear that same er in her name. Purple Shirt Shirley. Thanks, Shirley, for that story. Hey, Doug, I have a question for you. How is your name pronounced by your students?
Yeah, I was going to say my students have two problems with my name. First of all, they look at the OU and they don't know how to say it. And then secondly, most of them are Hispanic and they have trouble with that cup of mustard sound. So
Okay.
they usually butcher it pretty bad. It usually comes out dog. Sometimes it comes out dog.
Okay. So based on the spelling, it's something like dog,
Yeah,
dog,
yeah,
dog. Uh-huh. So it almost sounds, oh, it sounds rose, rose boat, dog,
yeah. That's
or maybe Auburn dog, dog.
yeah, mostly Auburn dog,
Uh-huh. And what color is your name?
mustard,
Go
cup
ahead
of
and
mustard.
model that for us.
It's a cup of mustard, Doug.
Yeah, a cup of mustard, Doug. Yeah, and for those who are new to the chart or maybe unfamiliar with this mustard sound, we know we can get there by starting nice and low. So it's a sound we don't have in many other languages. If it's new for you, we have lots of fun ways to get there, but that's the mustard sound. All right. Gemma, hello.
Hello.
Tell me about your name. How is it sometimes mispronounced?
In terms of the vowel, I sometimes get Jimma or Jim. That's probably the most common mispronunciation of the vowel. But normally I hear it's the consonant actually that gets mispronounced. I get a lot of Gemma, especially from German speakers. I get a lot of Gemma rather than Gemma.
Yeah, so that's right. So there are a few reasons we encounter these kinds of problems. Um, One is that the name may be unfamiliar to them, and I'm guessing Gemma, in those cases, they haven't ever met a Gemma, right? That's maybe new for them.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it could be that your name is unfamiliar. And then, and an example I have in addition to Gemma's name is my sister-in-law is from Mexico. She's in Mexico. Her name is Enna. Now, some of you might say, wait, Emma? No, Enna. You say, oh, I've never heard that name. So just as an example, this is Enna's name, and it looks like that. And so it might just be that when you hear it for the first time, you can't quite place how it sounds because it's unfamiliar. Or it might be the spelling, right? So the spelling could be confusing, as in Gemma's name. I think once they hear Gemma, they can say Gemma. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the sounds that are particularly difficult of Gemma's name, but the spelling. That G, is it Gemma or Gemma, right? In the case of Shirley, it's more like Enna's name. It might be that for a French speaker, they've just never heard that combination of sounds, okay? And so with the spelling, I'm going to give you another example from my family. My husband's last name and Enna's last name is Caballero, Caballero. And Caballero sounds one way in Spanish, but when English speakers see it, they look at these L's and they say Caballero, Caballero. And so we don't take any offense at that because we know what's happening, right? Okay. There's another reason that, let me just take a look over here. I have one more. This is a very common Irish name. And if you've never heard it before, it's difficult to know how to say it unless you're Irish. And this is a common name in the United States, actually. Does anybody take a guess? I want somebody to take a guess who doesn't know for sure. Who can take a nice guess at how to say this name? Natalia, I'm sort of thinking of you because you're brave. You want to take a guess at how this name sounds?
I never saw it in my life. I'll try. Subhan.
Yeah, Sobhan. What a nice way to guess, right? You're using all of your knowledge of letters and symbols and sounds to take a strong guess. Who knows how
Yeah.
to say his name? Not sure. Yeah, Carl. Oh, we can't hear you. You'll have to unmute.
Siobhan.
Yep. Siobhan. So this name, as much as it looks like what you said, Natalia, is Siobhan. And, you know, for English speakers, we almost have to write a little cheat sheet like Siobhan, right? Like that. And then we even still have to remind ourselves where the stress is. Siobhan. Yeah, how would you have known? Right. And so we're very sensitive about our names. I know that because, you know, we can take offense if we feel the other person is disrespecting us. But a lot of times it doesn't involve disrespect. It involves simply not knowing how a name sounds. There's a third reason here. The person might know the name, but they might pronounce it differently than the way you do. And so here I have three names. Actually, this person is a person in one of my courses right now. Natalia, you know her. I happen to know someone with this name also in Maryland. The person in Maryland says Tamara, Black Cat Tamara. But the person in my course right now doesn't say it like that. Natalia, do you remember how she says her name?
Yes, of course, we have this name in common. It's Tamara.
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 Exactly.
Tamara. Yeah.
Tamara. And so I, as the person who knows a Tamara and a Tamara, they're spelled the same way. I have to remind myself how the person's name sounds. And I have to try not to look at it too much because I get confused and I confuse them. I mix them up, right? And then I have to apologize. This name looks pretty simple, right? Carl, how would you say that name in English?
In English, Oscar.
Oscar. Let's spend a moment with that name. Let's just listen to it. Don't look at it, right? Oscar. Just listen to it. Oscar, right? Oscar. What color is Oscar?
Oscar.
Right? Olive, soft, Oscar. Yeah.
Oscar.
And the way English behaves, we'll say something like Oscar.
Oscar.
So that second syllable is very purple and little, right? Oscar. Now,
Oscar.
that's really different from the way it sounds in Spanish. In Spanish, it doesn't sound like Oscar. It sounds like this. Oscar. 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 Yeah. To the point where my dear friend Laura, who's in Albuquerque, a few of you know her, she had a student whose brother had been studying English. Okay. And a semester later, she said to the student, how's Oscar, his brother? How's he doing? And he said, who? And she said, Oscar. And he said, who? She said, your brother, Oscar. And he said, oh, Oscar. So it's so different for the ears of the person who's expecting this other sound that they can't, that's not an easy map, right? You can't map Oscar onto Oscar, even though for me, maybe because I speak both languages, they seem so similar. They're not. Okay, so really one of the main causes of misunderstanding how to say each other's names is this very simple truth, is that their native language is different from your language. And we have to appreciate what that really means across languages or across regions. It might even be English and another English, but it might be that we speak them slightly differently, right? So I wanted to take this for just a minute. It's kind of fun. Here's Shirley, here's your name. Here it is in the United States, and it's purple shirt, Shirley. And if we move it, I'd love to see, could you model for us, Shirley, what it sounds like when you went to, let's say, French West Africa? That's where you were, right?
Yes.
And how did it sound when you were in French West Africa, in Benin and Togo?
Well, what happened was I began to realize very quickly that most French speakers simply couldn't say that R and L, the purple and then the L. So I thought to myself, how can I say my name in a way that I feel comfortable with, but that they can pronounce? So I would introduce myself and I would say, Je m'appelle Shirley.
Shirley. And if you had to spell it, how would you spell it for French speakers?
Ooh.
Did you ever? I guess you didn't do that.
No, because my French is very oral. I don't really write or read or write French, so I don't know.
So something like maybe like Shelly. Shelly. Is that what it
Um,
sounds like?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, because people used to, sometimes they would misunderstand me and they'd say, oh, jolie, meaning pretty. And I thought, yeah, I'll take
Oh.
that. Jolie would be Jolie, I
Oh,
think.
interesting.
If
J-
anybody knows French spelling, you can correct me.
Okay.
So
So
Shirley.
almost like jolie, Shelly, jolie.
Shirley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this SH sound also isn't a sound of French, right?
Um,
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll wait. We're not
Yeah.
sure about the French. But let me ask another question then, and I'll just kind of keep this. If we move this over to Ukraine, and this is a question for Natalia, how does Shirley's name sound in Ukrainian?
Yeah, it will be just Shirley. If
Ah,
someone
Shirley.
knows how, yeah, if someone knows how to say this R, it will be Shirley. But it's
Mhm.
still ear, it's not purple shirt. No way. We
Aha,
don't
so
see it purple shirt, yes.
so Shirley.
Shirley, yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Excuse us,
green
excuse us,
t-shirt.
Karen. I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. The correct thing is to pronounce my name in my native language, like Spanish, or in English when I present myself. What is the correct way to present myself? To pronounce
Well,
my name?
that's a very good question, Kira. And I think I have to say it depends, right? That's precisely why we're looking at a map, because here's the thing. That's a great way to kind of focus us. If I take my name, and I'll just borrow this for a minute, in the United States, when I'm here in Maryland, my name is Karen. And so I say, hi, my name is Karen. And generally that works, right? People, oh, okay, hi, Karen. When I go down to Mexico, right here in the Yucatan Peninsula, where my family is, my husband's family, I don't say, me llamo Karen. I don't do,
Okay.
I can't do that, because if I say me llamo, which means my name is, me llamo Karen, that's like Shirley saying, je m'appelle Shirley. And so
Okay.
because the sounds are not mapping onto Spanish, I have to change my name a little bit, just a little
Oh,
bit. So in Spanish, I say me llamo Karin.
okay, I got it.
And even then they say Karin, Karin, I say Karin, como Karincita. So then I add a little ending to it. They go, oh, Karin. So maybe my accent isn't perfect or something, but we find a way to say, oh, I know what your name is now. And then they don't
Okay.
forget. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So we're going to use, this is for you learners, we're going to use the sounds of English with your name,
Okay.
not because
Okay.
we want to change it, but because we have to change it. English speakers use the sounds of English. Spanish speakers use the sounds of
Sound
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay.
So we're becoming multilingual, all of us. Every language we learn, we become more multilingual. And that means shifting into each sound system, right?
Right.
That's
Okay, thank you,
that's a
Karen.
definite part of this. So Kira, here's the question for you. You're a speaker of Spanish, is that right?
Yes, I am. My native language is Spanish. Yeah.
Good. So now in Spanish, how does your name sound?
Kira.
Kira. Everyone try that. Kira. Kira. Yeah.
Kira.
Everyone should try that. See what that feels like in the mouth, right? Kira. Carl, how does that, can you say that?
Kira.
Kira, Kira, Kira. Great. And now what is your name? How does it sound in English?
Kira.
Yeah. What did you do to change it?
Because sometimes when I said Kira, and they don't get in my name. The American people didn't get in my name.
If you say Kira.
Yes, I say Kira, they understand me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's because the sounds of English are what they expect to hear.
Okay. Thank you, Karen.
You're
Okay.
so welcome. Let's keep doing this, right? So let's take, let's see, who else has a name that's difficult for people to say? Fiona, you said something earlier. Carl, what's your story?
Well, I'll start with my name and my friend's name, Robert. People can't get the R controlled thing. So
Mhm.
it's so it's Carlos, Carlos. It's más fácil, Carlos. Because no one on God's green earth can say they are controlled.
Yeah,
Carl.
exactly. So
And then
that's an
my
example.
friend,
Hmm.
my friend Robert, his wife is Japanese, so he goes to Japan and they can't say the R, so it comes out robot. So his mother is telling his mother-in-law is telling her friends, my daughter married a robot.
Yep. So these words, these sounds, some of them are particularly difficult. Shirley has that R, Carl has that R, and Carl has that, they both have that R and L together. Shirley and Carl. Yeah. So we're going to see that it changes across languages. And Carl, have you found it? I think you live in Guatemala now, right?
Yeah.
Are you introducing yourself as Carlos? Oh.
Much easier. Carlos.
Yeah, much easier. Yeah, Carlos, because it's a name that's known and it follows the rules of Spanish. Spanish doesn't have a rule for Carl. It has a rule for Carlos. We can do that. Carlos, right? Good. And so Fiona, you asked a question, which is what color is your name? And that's a beautiful question to ask,
Thank you,
right?
ma'am.
When you ask that question, it's saying, how does my name sound in English? So would you say your name for us?
Fiona.
Fiona. Fiona. Great. Native English speakers, what color do you hear? Fiona. Say it again, Fiona.
Fiona.
Fiona. I'm trying to
Fiona.
say it just like you. Fiona. Fiona. Fiona, is that right? Fiona.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Fiona.
Yeah.
Fiona.
Right. And so Doug wrote this and others, we hear Rose. Fio, this is Rose, boat,
Rose.
Fiona.
Fiona. Rose.
Now, there's one change there. That's the sound. It's a little different. Fiona. There's a movement here.
Movement. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and it comes up to a blue sound. Oh, everyone see that with my mouth? Oh.
Oh. Oh.
So
And
one
also,
difference.
ma'am, I'm sorry. In Sri Lankan learning context and the pronunciation as well, some people pronounce it as Fiona. They emphasize on the Y, like Fiona, Fiona. That's how I write it. But some would like to say it as Fiona, Fiona. But it's Fiona. That's the
Wonderful.
correct spelling.
Let's look at that together. Let's see where that Y comes from. She's raised a beautiful question. So what color is your name? We've already looked a little bit at Shirley, and we could use Carl here too. But with Shirley, what we'll do is identify where is the stress, sure, and what's the color? Two questions, right? Shirley, purple shirt, Shirley. Great. Fiona, how many syllables in your name? And where is the stress most importantly? Where's the stress? Where's the big syllable?
Oh,
Is it Fiona, Fiona, or Fiona?
Fiona. Fiona.
So
Oh.
I'm going to underline.
Oh,
Oh,
the second syllable.
yep. That's the second syllable. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to separate the syllables by a space, just so we can see those really clearly, okay? So we have Fiona. Now, here's another rule of English. English has a lot of deep rules. These are not rules that people made. These are rules that we simply follow. So here's Fiona. Let's look at the chart. Fee, first syllable. What color is the first syllable? Fee, I'll make my chart big for you. Let's see here.
Silver?
Ma'am, is it silver pin?
Silver
Okay, so
pin?
everyone's over here. Is it
Silver pin.
Fiona?
Silver pin.
Silver pin.
Fiona.
No, green tea, green tea, green tea.
Okay, for English speakers, it's going to be green, and I'll tell you why. And that's because we have a little rule in English that when two vowel sounds are next to each other, two vowel sounds like fi and o, we need to connect them with something special. We need to connect them with a consonant. Okay, so I will use this right now for one moment. Fi. This is going to be a very small, because it's not stressed. Okay, there's fi right there. What color is O again? It's rose, right?
Rose.
Okay, now let me make this an even bigger space because I want to show you how this works. Okay, great. Fiona. I'm going to stop share. If we come up, Fio, we have to come over all the way over here. Before we move from Fi to O, we're going to connect using this Y sound. Fio, Fio.
It's like an arch, ma'am.
Like art?
Like an arch. How you move your hand, it's like an arch, you know.
Yeah, it's like an arc. So we have Fi, and then we're going to take this consonant. Yeah. Fiona. Fio. That's that O right there. N. So does this help you understand why people insert that Y sound? Fiona. That's different from the way you say it, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you say your
You're
name?
magical, ma'am. You're a wizard. I'm soon gonna take this course from you. Because I first happened to see you during Shannon's webinar. And today I'm
Ah,
seeing you for the second time. So I'm totally new. It's entire novel experience.
Okay, so it was so much fun though. We got to chart your name on the chart, right? So we figured out why, and you were the one who noticed that people use that Y sound. So that's congratulations to you. What
Thank
we
you,
do
ma'am.
with the chart, everyone, is we build awareness of sound. And so Fiona brought that question, and that's what allowed us to make that discovery. Is she said, why do people use this Y in my name, Fiona? Well, now we have some idea. Okay, beautiful. Who else has a name, first or last, that is difficult for other people to say? I saw Fabrice came into the room early on. I saw Fabrice's last name, and I don't know if you want to open your mic or not, but Fabrice, could you tell us your full name or your last name? It's always, I'll let people know when you don't have your camera on, I might invite you. And if you don't want to talk, that's okay. So it was just to see if she might open up her, or he might open up his mic. Nice long name there though. I imagine when you have many syllables, we won't know which one is stressed. And English speakers want to know, we want to know which one is stressed. Okay. Circadis, you have a nice, interesting name for me. You have a 3-syllable first name. When I say Circadis, is that the way that you say it?
You pronounced correctly, but some people don't call me the way you called me. Some people say Sardis, some people say Circus, some people say Saradis. So no
Wow.
one called me correctly.
You know, I think with some of those longer names, Circadis, I think sometimes when it's a longer name and the letter combinations are not familiar, some people simply don't read through it carefully. What do you think? Gemma, what do you think? Do you find that happens with long words?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they take a quick guess, like what were some of those options, Circadis? Those surprised me.
Circus,
Circus.
yeah.
Like
Sardis,
circus?
yeah.
Oh my.
Sardis,
What?
Sardis, Serdis.
Oh my gosh.
They don't pronounce the K.
Sometimes I'm a little disappointed in people.
Mhm.
I just have to say, like, you want them to take a little time because this is a very readable name, in my opinion. It has a very clear consonant vowel combinations. This is not that difficult. So we'll be forgiving to people, but it's unfortunate. So Circadis. What color is your name, Circadis? Can you tell us and show us?
I was
What-
about to ask you that. Is the color of
say-
my name?
Then say your
I'm
first
not
name.
quite sure.
Yeah, could you say it for us?
Sarkadis?
Yeah. And what's your native language? Remind me.
I'm from Ethiopia. My native language is Amharic.
Okay, Circadis. Circadis.
Yes.
Can you say it again,
The
please?
meaning is always new.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Can you say that name again, please?
Sarkadis.
Can everybody hear how we hear 3 equal syllables? Circadis. Okay. And have you noticed what I do to your name when I say it?
You pronounce it correctly.
I pronounce it as correctly as I can for my language. What I say is Circadis.
Yes, that's it.
Circadis.
Sarkadis.
So I'm doing something to your name because of my brain forces me to. My English speaking brain wants to stress one syllable. So it's either going to be Circadis,
Yes.
Circadis, or Circadis.
The third one.
The second one you like?
No, the third one.
Oh,
The last one.
Circadis.
Circadis.
Ha. See, this is beautiful. So here, Circadis has been in this course probably 20 times. And
Yes.
all this time, I've been guessing at her name, saying Circadis, Circadis, Circadis. But today, because I listened to her and I asked her which one she likes, now I know. And it's only because we tried Circadis, and she said that one.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I mean, I'm emotional. I'm so happy today because now I have a better way to say your name for you that works for me also.
Oh,
It
thank
still follows the rules of my language.
Mm.
But whether I stress the second syllable or the third doesn't matter to my mind, my brain.
you.
Okay. So now I can retrain myself, Circadis.
Mm.
And I'm going to use my hand because it will train me to use the stress in the right place.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what's the color of my name then?
Good. So to
Before-
get to that answer, there are actually 2 questions in one. We ask what color is your name? We have to know where is the stress. So now that we know Circadis, Circadis, now I can listen. Circadi. What's that sound?
Green tea.
Exactly.
Green
Green tea,
tea.
Circadis.
Green tea.
And that's really different until today. I said Circadis, 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 Circadis. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you might think, everybody, well, gosh, this is just her name. It's just one name. But her name is behaving like a word of English right now. So if we can discover how English works through your name, we can learn a lot. Fiona, you asked another question. You want to ask us your question about the name Anastasia? Is Fiona still in the room? There you are. Hi, Fiona.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you want to ask about that name that starts
Yes,
with
ma'am,
A?
please.
Yeah.
I'm
So
fascinated.
yeah. Well, remember, we're going to keep thinking about ourselves as travelers on this map, right? It's not just how does this name sound, but where am I right now and who am I talking to? That's the big question. So let's change this to Anastasia. And I have a friend named I have a friend with this name, and she lives in California. She's right here. And she says Anastasia.
Yes,
she's an
ma'am, that's
English
the way it is pronounced. Anastasia.
Anastasia. Well, I would say this is how it's pronounced by her in California. But if you move over to, say, I don't know, Russia, also a very common name in Russia. Could I borrow anybody, maybe who speaks? I know somebody speaks.
Anastasia. It's
Aha.
Anastasia.
Everyone try that. Anastasia.
Anastasia.
So notice
Anastasia.
it's not Anastasia anymore, right? It's different. So I'm going to take away the line. It turns into Anastasia. Anastasia. So it changes. So names are words, but these names are special because the word will change depending on who you are, where you live, and who you're talking to. Because if this Anastasia moves from Russia and she's Russian and she moves to the United States or Canada, she might need to know how to say this in the North American way. Anastasia, right? Just like Carl had to change a little bit to be more accessible in Guatemala. He's now Carlos, right? Sometimes the changes are small and sometimes the changes are big, right? So I want to take a name. I'm looking here and I see Jose Luis. Hi, Jose Luis. How are you?
Hi, thank you. How are you?
Good. Here's Jose. Jose, where are you from?
From Colombia.
Colombia. Okay, so we're over here. Come up. Come on. Up, 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 up. Okay. Colombia. And so here we are in Colombia. What happens to your name? Where do you live now? Are you in Colombia now?
Yes, I'm in Colombia.
So now imagine you get on a plane and you go to, I don't know, North Dakota. Now you're in the United States. How does your name often sound with English speakers in North Dakota? Do you know?
Jose. Jose.
Yeah. Close. Yeah. English speakers. Doug, how does this name sound in Georgia from English speakers?
Yes. Maybe we can't do it's common.
Yeah,
It's say Jose.
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 Jose or Joe.
Yeah. So depending on whether we're hearing it or seeing it, that will make a difference. English speakers might see this as a Jose.
Jose.
Once you say Jose, English speakers will need to find out where's the stress. Jose. Now, is it Jose or Jose?
Is Jose.
Jose.
Yes.
Okay. Jose. Now, watch my chart. This is
like red pepper.
This seems very simple, but it's not. Jose. What color is this?
Red pepper.
Red pepper? Jose.
No.
Jose. Okay. So it sounds a lot like red. The problem is we have another rule of spoken English, a deep rule that we always follow. And that is we can't end a word with this kind of vowel. We can only end a word with a moving vowel. The moving vowels have this little Y or this little Y or this little W. So moving, moving, moving. So Jose becomes Jose.
Jose.
Jose. Great day. Jose. Those of you who speak any Spanish, you might wonder, why do English speakers take Jose and say Jose? But we have to, because we have a rule that we can't end with a red syllable. We can't just say eh. So we move it and it becomes gray. Okay, so Jose. Now, what about Luis? Luis. How many syllables in Luis?
2 syllables.
2 syllables? Okay, good. And where's the stress?
Luis.
Luis. Everybody listen and say it. Luis. How many, sorry, what color for Luis?
Silver pink, maybe?
Okay, it could be silver, it could be green. Okay,
Could be
I'm going to
green, yeah.
share. We're going to see what happens to Luis's name. So here's Luis. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Fiona's name. I'm going to separate the syllables. I'm going to underline the stress. And you said silver? That's fine. A lot of us would choose green, but I'll put silver. Notice on the chart, the two are very close to each other. So we can put either silver or green. That's fine. What about this syllable? What color is that?
Blue.
Blue moon, blue moon,
Blue. Now
blue
watch,
moon.
just like Fiona. It's a small, it's not stressed, right? It's not the major stress, Lu. And now, remember Fiona? She gets a big Y right there. Fiona. Fiona. Why?
Fiona.
Because, let me grab the chart here for a minute.
Yes.
Grab the chart for you. We'll put it all on the same page for everybody. There. Okay. Let's just look at the chart for a minute. Okay. So Fiona, she got a Y because that first syllable was green and it's a Y moving E. It's a Y moving vowel. Okay. What about blue? Where does it move to?
Blue.
Ooh, W. Okay. So here's what happens to Luis's name. And I'm going to move the silver over here. Okay. Luis. Luis.
Luis.
Luis. Luis. So you can open your hand on the green or silver part. Luis. Luis. I'll tell you that we hear it as green. Okay. That's the more common way we hear it. Luis. Luis. Green T. Luis. Does this W surprise you, Luis?
Yes.
Yes. Right? How does it sound to you when I say Luis?
Luis, like
Luis.
a longer name with more syllables?
Yeah, it sounds different from Luis.
Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone's having difficulty hearing the difference, English speakers especially, Luis, 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 Luis. Both are two syllables, but the way Spanish behaves, it sounds faster. In English, we move all the way up. Luis. Fiona, this is for you. You like this. Luis. Right? Fiona. So we have all this movement that's happening up at the top with Y and W. Whew. We might have time for one more name. I see Nafai, Maha Nafai, and I'm guessing based on the spelling. So Maha Nafai, can you turn on your microphone? Can we hear your name? Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, I'll spend time with this one for a minute. Nafai, if you look at her name, at their name, and I don't know from the name what to know about anything more. So I'll say Nafai. Nafai. What I see about this name that's going to change in English is two vowel sounds. And it could be Nafai, if I were reading it as an English speaker, Nafai. It could be Nafai. It could be Nafai. Well, are there any other options? Nafai. So without hearing it first, I cannot mark up this word. I can't do anything with the spelling because spelling is only an approximation. Spelling is second. Sound is first. Okay. And so we have to always ask, not based on the spelling, but based on that individual. How do you say your name? Okay. I know it sounds very simple. Oh, thank you, Nafai. And I hope I'm saying your name in some way that's correct for you. Okay. In other words, we're going to listen to each other more. That's my message today, is we want to really hear people. How do you say your name? And I think that I want to thank Circadis because today was a breakthrough for me. And I'm grateful that you took the time to listen and to tell me and to have, be brave, because I've spent so much time saying Circadis. I know that it's not a great offense because my will is there, right? But
Yeah,
to fall
I
into that
understand.
special place with that new way of saying your name feels really good for me.
Oh, thank you.
And I
The
hope it
pleasure
feels
is mine.
Yeah, wonderful. I'm going to open up the conversation to teachers and learners for comments and questions. And this can be comments from teachers or questions from learners. Thank you. Hi, Doug.
Yes, I always try to learn how to say the name the way my student does. And there are some names I have a hard time with, especially if it's a name like Jonahina that starts with a Y. And she got very frustrated because I was having trouble pronouncing her name altogether. I had one student from Italy and I called him Stefano for a long time. And finally he told me his name's not Stefano, it's Stefano. And he was frustrated because we were all pronouncing his name wrong. So I think it's important that we learn how to say it the way the way they say it.
Yes.
So,
You know, that is a great first place to start, which is I want to say your name in a way that works. Shirley, what are you thinking?
Well, I think I hear a lot of English teachers say that. And I think as ESL teachers, we're culturally sensitive. We want to say our students' names the way they say it. But for some people, if their name has a sound in it that doesn't exist in my language, no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to be able to say it. And the average person on the street isn't going to be able to say it. So in my mind, the bigger gift to our students is not saying their name the way they say it, but helping them find a way to say their name that other people in their surroundings can easily hear and pronounce. Because I think it's hard to be really good friends with somebody if you're constantly trying to say their name and use sounds that you can't use. And I think it opens up the idea of real friendship by being able to say, I'm going to give you a way to say my name, Shirley, which I know as a French speaker you can say, rather than forcing you to try to say Shirley. It's just, it puts a barrier, I think. So that's my take on names.
Yeah, in fact, I think starting with Doug's, you know, the intent is there. I want to
Yeah.
say your name the way you say it. But the second step is acknowledging I actually can't say your name the way you say it because it's not my language. Can then lead to a nice third step. So that third step I want to share with everybody is that what color is your name is really the third step. And for teachers, this is a lesson, by the way, that we offer in our book, The Color Vowel Approach. If you already have the book, take a look. It's right in there as an activity, okay? Learners, this is a way to talk about names or any word of English with 2 questions. And the 2 questions that we ask are these. And I'll just show these to you so you can take a picture of it too. Okay, the 2 rules or the 2 questions that we like to ask. When I say rules, I'm not talking about grammatical rules. I mean deep rules about spoken English. One question is, where is the stress? You heard me ask this many times today, right? And the second question is, what color is it? And what that means is we now have come to a common understanding that for English, we have to find one stress syllable. And if we heard Serkadis say her name with equal stress, I have to do that very intentionally to say it that way. It doesn't follow the rules of my language. But if she agrees with me, which she did, that it's Serkadis, I can do that. And then I can now take this, for example, I can write Serkadis and put it in my mind as a green tea word with stress on the 3rd syllable, okay? Same with Doug, Shirley, and Jennifer. Whatever the name, Serkadis, see? I will retrain myself. Fiona, okay? Kira, okay? We always have to think it's not just the name by itself. It's the name in this conversation with this person. Okay. Kira. I can say Kira because I speak Spanish. But English speakers who don't speak a language with that tapped R, they're going to need to say Kira. They have to be able to do that because it's all they have. If they don't have the tapped R, maybe they'll notice it and they'll use their D sound and say Kida, but not quite the same either. Right? Good. Other comments and questions? A couple of you mentioned, while you're thinking of your questions, a few of you mentioned, Fiona, hold on. Fiona, you mentioned you wanted to take a class. I wanted to let everybody know that our new next class of Speak Confidently is coming up with new dates. And so our Speak Confidently course, this is a course for learners, will start in January and registration will open on November 22nd. So please mark your calendar. I will put this up in our Pure English Practice community, okay? But that course starts January 22nd and it's on Wednesday mornings. So this time, but on Wednesdays in January. Wherever you are, whatever time it is there, it's this right now, this class is happening at that time. Okay. And we only have space for 8 people. So if you are interested in that, put it down on your calendar, watch for that. Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was, Pure English Practice coming up. I have my lessons set out for the next 6 weeks. So next week you can join me. You can take a picture of this if it's helpful to you, okay? These are the color vowels that I'm going to focus on in those lessons. So olive and rose, ah and o, and a, okay? All of those pairs that people are interested in, okay? And I don't know why I don't have another December right there, so I'll add that. I think it's the 17th, if I'm not wrong, okay? Beautiful. All right, other questions that are coming up. I'm going to add this while we ask questions. If you are new to Pure English Practice or the first time you've met us here in this room, you can scan this to complete our little form, and this will give you access to my newsletter. I will put this link in the chat if you simply want to do it online. Okay. Listen, if you would, I will ask you in that form whether you are a learner, a teacher, or a teacher and a learner, because some teachers are also learning English ongoingly. If that is your identity, go ahead and use English learner and teacher. Okay. So again, it's either learner, teacher, or both, essentially. I love knowing when you're both because I have special offers and special classes for non-native English speaking teachers. Okay. All right. Questions, comments? Somebody else's name.
I think there was a question in the chat, Karen.
Yeah. It's that one. Adriana? There we go. Adriana, I can say your
Yes.
name as a Spanish speaker, but I don't know where you're from. How do you say your name?
I am from Mexico.
Great. So how do you say your name in Spanish?
Adriana.
Adriana. And how many syllables is that, by the way, for Spanish speaking?
Adriana. 3?
Yeah.
3 syllables.
So English speakers, is anyone surprised? Doug, are you surprised by that? Yeah. In Spanish, Adriana is 3 syllables. She's right. Okay, Adriana. Adriana. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, how does it sound in English? There's a syllable difference in English. That's my little hint. Have you heard people say your name in English, Adriana?
Adriana.
Okay, Adriana. So sometimes they'd make it a gray first syllable.
Great day.
Good.
Great day.
Maybe they make this gray. Adriana. Good. Where's the stress when they say Adriana?
Adriana.
Adriana. Adriana.
Black cat.
Adriana. 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 Which one?
Adriana. Oh, I
Right? Okay, let me show what's happening here. That's super interesting.
Adriana.
I'm going to model both of these for Adriana, and I want you to listen and decide which one sounds better to you. Adriana, 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 Adriana. Which one do you like better?
Or olive. Olive.
You like olive better? Good. You
Yeah.
seem a little bit uncertain. Is it different from Spanish? Adriana.
Adriana. No, it's like a black cat. No, it's more similar.
Adriana.
Yeah.
Adriana. So the confusion is, everybody,
Yes,
she's
I am
trying to
confused.
she's trying to map the Spanish a into this
Mhm.
area, but it's not
Yes.
black and it's not olive. Adriana's right here. This is Adriana.
Uh-huh. In
It's
the middle.
not black, it's not olive, it's not mustard. It's its own special sound that's not a sound of English.
Mhm.
So the English speaker must move it either here or here, based on the letter. Adriana, and you like olive. So the answer to your question, olive
Okay.
sock Adriana.
Olive sock Adriana.
How many syllables?
Adriana. 4.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Adriana, 4.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Interesting, teachers? Anyone find that interesting? Gemma, what surprised you?
I didn't realize there would be a difference in the number of syllables. That's really interesting to me.
Yeah, this has come up. It's been kind of the hidden theme of today's lesson because it first started with Fiona. Fiona, where she says Fiona, right? So that whole idea of Fiona, we make it more separate. She uses 3 syllables, I believe, Fiona, right? But we make it bigger and more separate. And with Adriana, that's a classic. That dia is, or Luis, 2 syllables, but we make them more separate. So that's become kind of an interesting theme today, is when do we use the Y and the W, and when does it create a new syllable? Yeah, interesting. Everybody, it's such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you for being here. Everybody, if you want any follow-up communications, be sure to join our Pure English Practice group. If this is your first time being here and you are not a part of that group, I've just put the link in our chat. Okay, you can join there. All of my upcoming sessions will appear there, as well as the Zoom links. Okay, and that's the best way to know what's happening. Pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody. You have a great day.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the
Thank you,
discovery.
Carol. Have a
Yeah,
great day
thank
too.
you.
Thank you. See you
You
soon.
will.
Thank you so much.
All the
Thank
best to you,
you.
ma'am.
Thanks, Shirley. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Gemma. Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
a great one.
Thank you for the class. Have a good day.
Bye, Carl. Thank you. All right. Goodbye.